what was going on in East Ramapo with regard to the school board, the schools, the private schools, the parochial schools. Dennis Walcott is a good friend. I worked with him when he was deputy mayor under the Bloomberg administration. He was someone that we felt we could trust. When he was appointed to this position, I urged people in this community, because I knew Dennis, I said, this is someone that you can trust. This is someone you should work with. This is someone who's going to give all sides a fair hearing. He will be fair. And we felt that we had turned the corner because of Dennis Walcott, and things actually began to change. There were changes. We were optimistic. You know, the sense was that when we go back to Albany in January, February for the new term, you know, we're not going to have to deal with this issue again because we have Dennis Walcott on the case. And he was listening to all the sides. There were changes, real concrete changes that were made, like a new superintendent. Other things that were happening. There was dialogue. People were sitting and having conversations. And unfortunately, and it pains me to say this, Dennis Walcott stabbed this community in the back. Dennis Walcott stabbed the entire community, because not only are we back to where we were, it is worse than before. The idea, some of the ideas presented, some of them that were presented in the Greenberg report. You have an elected group of people who ran in the community fair and square. No one argues about that. There was an election, a fair election. And people were elected to be part of the school board, people who are committed to all children. And now to be told that we are going to take away the power of this board, this duly elected members of the board, they will not be in charge anymore. It is a betrayal of everything America stands for. It makes no sense. It's not fair. It's not what we're all about. And by the way, one of the things the Greenberg report mentioned, and now the Walcott report, by the way, it's not much of a report. You know, it's not much of a report. It's a couple of pages of basically nothingness, repeating some of the stuff from the Greenberg report, except I think it goes a step further. It actually goes further in trying to make sure that certain people get elected to the school board who represent certain people. That's not the way we do things in America. That's not the way we do things in my assembly district or the state senate districts. We want to make sure that we get the results, certain kinds of results. We need to work together. There's a lot of animosity. There's hate. Hate. And by the way, it is only coming from one side. The hate, some will call it anti-Semitism, racism, is basically coming from one side. That is unacceptable. That is simply unacceptable. We were on our way, Dennis. What happened? What's the inside scoop on this, that we had someone like Dennis Walcott on the case, looking at everything, making progress, real change was going to happen, and it was already happening. The members of the school board were working with Dennis Walcott. By the way, there are people in the Jewish community who are criticizing members of the school board for trusting Dennis Walcott. I told them to trust him. There was every reason to. But now I feel that the results of this report were preordained. Do you hear what I'm saying? They were preordained. As hard as it is for me to say this and make this contention. Preordained. It was going to happen this way in spite of everything that we believed about Mr. Walcott. We've got to find a way, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to find a way to work together for all the children of this district, for the kids that attend public school, approximately 30%. The other 70% are at private and parochial schools. All children matter wherever they are. And one of the things that I mentioned before that was mentioned in both reports, Dennis Walcott made it very, very clear, and the members of his team, that there was nothing illegal that was done by the school board, nothing that wasn't kosher. We got stabbed in the back. It's a sad reality. But in spite of all of that, we cannot give up. The elected officials from this community who, they told me to stay home. The Democratic, it's one hell of a Democratic Party that is afraid of another elected official, a state elected official, with fundamental issues that affect the entire state of New York, telling me go home. I feel I am home. Home away from home, but I'm home. What are they afraid of? Why are they telling me to go home? Why are they being insulting? What are they afraid I am going to say? So I am determined. I know that Aron Wieder is determined. And we're all determined, in spite of the difficulties, in spite of a situation that has been made worse, more contentious, more dangerous for everybody. Dangerous is the word I use. Because when there's hate out there, we've got to be very, very careful. I'm hoping, in spite of everything, that there can be real dialogue and real compromise and real working together, which I thought we were going to do with Dennis Walcott. It was happening. It was happening. I was so happy. And so are the people here in this community. So this is very, very unfortunate. It's really sad that the fix was in. The fix was in. How silly I was to believe we were going to get a fair shake. But I'm not giving up, and none of us are giving up. We need to work together for the sake of the children. It's not healthy for anyone. So I am determined to work with my colleagues if they will sit and talk. And everyone being open-minded and having real dialogue and real compromise. It was all happening, and now we're going downhill very, very fast into an abyss, into a very dangerous situation. So with God's help and people who care about the children and about our communities, hopefully we can work together to put this behind us, as I thought we had with Dennis Walcott, but he stabbed us in the back. Thank you.